One, a two, a one.
It's time for the Better Horses radio show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
And welcome to Better Horses Radio. We appreciate everybody joining us. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And Merle, we have one show that's going to be very excited. That's this show. And we're going to get into a lot of categories here. So we're going to have really a professional roper, professional cutter, and then we're going to go right into the breeding season with a lot of professional talent coming into the show.
That's one of the neat things about this show and about this broadcast particularly is there's always a plethora of information.
You know what? I want to let everybody know that while we're going into the breeding season and also going into the show season, there's a website, the Equine Disease Communication Center, and it is really important for everybody to understand what the breakouts of biosecurity is going to be around the country. It's got a great website. And Merle, we have a small breakout in the Midwest of strangles. That's a respiratory disease out there. Wanted everybody to know that keep that website handy for you so that you can keep alert on everything that's going on with all the horses around the country. But first, coming up on this show, Coleman Proctor, a professional team roper, 8-time NFR qualifier. Merle, this guy's going to come to us with a lot of knowledge.
Yes, he does, Ed. I'm looking forward to chatting with Coleman.
Coleman's from Oklahoma, Pryor, Oklahoma, and that's where he grew up, and he's got a lot of experience in that category. And then let's move right over to the trainers, the guy, one of the most respected horsemen in the industry. We have Al Dunning coming up on this show.
He's a legend, and we're very fortunate to have him on this show. He always brings something good and shares his knowledge.
You know, his website can give you everything from training to video tips to also tack. And so it's kind of like a one-stop shopping over there. You'll hear more about that in this segment coming up. And then finalizing, we're going to have Shelly and Scott Rystrom. You've heard them before here on their quarter horses, and they've got a lot of talent over there in Nebraska, and they're doing almost everything down there.
Yes, really good friends of mine, and looking forward to talking to them.
So with all that in mind, let's get it started. And with us today, Merle, we have somebody that I'm very excited with. And when we get these professionals on our show, it is nothing but exciting, and we can still learn a lot by them. But this segment is brought to you by Kleinsmith's Western Wear. If you want to get it geared up for Western, we got to tell you to go to this one shop. It's one store around the country. It's in Higginsville, Missouri, and it's Kleinsmith's Western Wear. And they're in the Midwest, and they've got all the Western apparel and accessories for high-quality people that are looking to get geared up. And Merle, I think that's the best place to shop. Check them out at kleinboot.com, KLEINBOOT.com.
We were just there this weekend, did a little Mother's Day shopping. So
yeah. So I know you went broke. Congratulations.
Every time I take Susie. Yep.
Yeah. So welcome, welcome to the end. Hey, we're very excited about this. Professional team and tie-down roper. We've got Coleman Proctor from Pryor, Oklahoma, right where I used to work and play on a lot of Western. Coleman Proctor, thank you for joining Better Horses.
Well, thanks for having me today.
You know, Coleman, you're a professional roper, and congratulations on the NFR last year. You have a career earnings of over $1.5 million, and you are on your way to another big road to the NFR. And the first thing we want to talk about is your all-round and your team roping. And I think you were in Duncan, Oklahoma, and you had a very successful rodeo down there.
Yes, sir. You said tie-down roping, but ever since the Indian finals last year when I sprained my ankle, I think my wife is making me veto the tie-down roping. But I'm steer roping now for the time being anyways. It's a frustrating event. It's a lot like playing golf and blackjack all in one fell swoop. You know, it's just, it'll make you beat your head against the wall, but it's the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. But it's been great. Duncan was good. We placed in both events, and I actually won the all-around for the finals, beat out Paul David Tierney. He's a good buddy of mine and a great all-around hand. So, it was a fun weekend in Duncan back in October, and we kind of built on that coming into the new year. You know, you're looking for a big winner. I think we've won close to 30,000. People always look at those standings right now. They seem pretty inflated and like you're behind. But what you got to understand is we get 85 rodeos this year. And we've been to, approximately 15. And by the time we leave for Reno mid-June, we'll have gone to maybe 20. So then from June to the end of July, we will go to the other 65. So the heart of the season hasn't even hit yet. We were barely out of the first quarter, possibly, and there's already a lot of big changes happening in rodeo as far as partnerships and whatnot. But my guy and I are staying hooked, staying together, looking forward to making a run at the world title.
I don't think we appreciated exactly how long you guys stay on the road and you travel with your team Roper. And I think that's probably more important than anything else. But talk us how you got started in roping. And one of the things that I think a lot of guys and a lot of listeners want to listen to is, how do you keep your skills going and how much do you practice constantly? And do you ever have a tendency to lose your edge on roping?
Oh, I mean, you always feel like you're losing your edge. That's why you're always chasing what you think you should be. You know what I mean? No matter what you win, it's all about the next one. And same thing goes even if you're losing. I mean, either winning or losing, but either way you're not. You're either winning or learning. Either way you're not losing. And I think for me, I practice every day if I can. I mean, like weather cooperating, I don't take very many days off, and we go hard when we practice, and especially like when we start getting ready for the finals, we rope 3 to 4 times a week. I'll take 1 or 2 days off trying to help the horses heal up just a little bit, stay sound. But no, for the most part, it's 3 to 4 days a week when I'm home.
On Coleman, I got to ask, team roping is a sport and you're a team. Granted, there's only 2 members, I guess 4 if you count the horses. All right. So who's the better roper, you or Logan?
Oh, shoot. Well, I rope with him. You know what I mean? No, Logan Evans is one of the best healers in the world, and certainly has some of the best heel horses in the world. And I would argue Logan is the best healer in the world. So, no, I would never want to really. I mean, I would match him because I try to keep my 10 heel card. I don't let him lower me, so that just that way, whenever I handle one kind of bad, he'll look over there at me kind of funny, and I'll just say, "Hey, man, we're all 10s here."
So, do you ever switch off between healer and header?
No, shoot, no. There's some jackpots we've joked about. I used to put on NFR roping, and I had a switch-in roping where you had to rope half the roping on your primary end, half the roping on the opposite end. And we won that, and we just let that ride into the sunset. We're just going to hang that one on the mantle and just leave it there, But no, I'm primarily just a header, especially when I'm out here trying to make the national finals. It's kind of more of the quarterback of the team. You control a lot more variables, a lot more pressure on your shoulders, a lot more responsibility. So I kind of like leaning into that. And I got some great horses. And I think that's the most important. Now that I got 3 kids, people are always asking me, they say, well, you'll probably slow down now. And it's like, man, I would, but rodeo is it's not like a business that, you work 40 years, you get your 401k where you want it, you feel good about everything, and then you can just roll it up, And there's such a delicate balance on when's the right time to ride off. And I think right now I got some great horses and a great partner, and we have great rhythm and chemistry. So it's a great time to keep it rolling.
I think on that note, staying healthy is probably just as important as anything else. Merle and I will consider you the young buck, being in your 30s. But if you had to talk to all of the kids coming up through the colleges and through the high schools, what advice would you give them? And what do you think they should know getting into this side of the fence?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Every time I talk to a young kid, I always talk about how much dedication this sport takes. There's no 9 to 5 on progress. There's no, you're not clocking in, clocking out. And so you find what you're passionate about, because anytime you're passionate, then you're not worried about overtime. Nobody's checking up on your success, because the stuff that you're willing to do when the lights aren't on, that's what comes to light whenever you're in front of, thousands of people competing. So find what you're passionate about. And it doesn't matter what it is. It sounded crazy when I knew I wanted to rope for a living, but because nobody around my family had, nobody around me, I didn't have a great example of it. So everybody thought I was too lazy to go to work, and it's like, no, you have to be passionate so that you work like a maniac.
That's interesting, Coleman, and I appreciate that. My family, I'm a quarter horse judge and kind of got into it, but my family didn't have much to do with it either. And so I think when you kind of get into that, you don't know how far you can go, because you're like, well, nobody ever told me no, let's just see how far this will go. Or that was my mentality. I don't know about yours, but.
Well, it was just like, nobody was ever going to let me know. Like, it was going to take a lot for me to quit pursuing it because that's all I wanted to do. You know, that was it. I quit playing all sports, everything in school. I just roped. I just wanted to rope. Knew that's what I was going to do. And just didn't know how I was going to do it. Didn't know what success was going to look like, but just stayed grinding until one day it came to fruition.
And everybody thinks an overnight success happens overnight, but that's not the case, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, I went 7 years and not making the national finals. It was a long, hard road.
Yeah.
A lot of great people stood beside me and behind me and encouraged me. And yeah, it certainly wasn't overnight for me.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking to Coleman Proctor, and he's a professional NFR rodeo man who's also done a lot of team roping. And let's talk over to the horses that you have, and let's talk about your training. How much training are you putting into the horses? How many horses do you have in the pens that you have to keep pushing throughout the year? And talk about your horses for just a second. What's the trick there?
Oh man, we've got several at the house. I bet we're close to 20 riding horses and stuff that we use. You know, now that varies. We got some young horses, you know, aging 4 to 5 years old that we're trying to bring on and make into the next great thing. We got some, you know, and maybe those will go on and have a chance to futurity. The rope horse futurity's gotten big, and I'm more lean on people with expertise. You know, when I show up to practice every day, I want to be the best header that I can be. And so sometimes the horse gets, you know, like training a horse is not really my priority. So I'll send those horses off to guys whose training is their priority. Guys like Tate Kirkenschlager, Clay Logan, Billy Jack Saban, you know, the renowned horse trainers. And I think that's something that people have to humble themselves a little bit and do, because it sure helped my program whenever I took the pride out of it and said, you know, there's people that do this for a living, and I'm trying to rope for a living. So I send even my good horses, if they're at a point where I feel like they need a break from me, you know, I'm not too proud to send them to Tate or Clay and Billy and then let them ride them for a month and send them back. It's like taking the test but giving me the answers, you know, like it's fixed, and it's like next time this happens, try this. And I got, you know, a range of practice horses from being, you know, 8 years old that are past their futurity age. They're ready to start going to the next level, and those are what I ride mostly every day, and they help me get better the whole time. I'm getting them better, but they're also making me better. And then I've got my good horses, the ones that, you know, I got 2 or 3 that stay on the road with me. Horses like Admiral, my great yellow horse I heard at Cheyenne a couple years ago that I got back last year. You know, he doesn't get a lot of practice. He just gets a lot of exercise, and his runs are in the arena in competition, because if I'm going to hurt him, I'm going to do it for money, you know. And Heisman, he doesn't do a lot. Like, he doesn't do a lot of practicing, and I'll be backing off of him. I'm going to ride him this weekend, I think. And then then he'll kind of have the summer off, and we'll start getting him ready to go again for the NFR. Because he's kind of a specialized unit. I ride him in the winter, and I ride him in the finals. And that's really what's made me very relevant at the national finals the last few years, is Heisman's ability, and then at the Thomas and Mack.
No, that's a really good point. And I got to tell you that really appreciate you coming out and being a part of the show. We look forward to watching you at the NFR. I assume everything's going well. We want you to stay healthy. We appreciate everything you're doing out there. And Coleman, if you had one advice about, you know, giving to all these people out there that want to get into the roping, I know you got ebbs and flows on this one, but how do you want to wrap it up and talk to everybody and say, hey, stay with it, because this has been just a great industry, and the industry is still growing.
You know, the Western industry is the best way of life. You know, we're kind of the last cornerstone of America, I think, in team roping is a sport that's growing by leaps and bounds. You know, not just team roping, but the horse industry itself is growing by leaps and bounds. You know, horses are getting worth more money. The investments are turning out on the back end to pay you back a lot more than they ever have. And it's just an amazing industry with the greatest people in the world. So don't ever hesitate to jump off into this pool, and don't be too proud to go get great help. I think that's one thing I can't reiterate enough. You know, I know I do a lot of lessons and stuff, and it's funny how people always be like, well, I want my kid to come to you, but I want him to get a little further along. It's like, man, you'd cut off so much of your struggles if you would just start the right way. So don't ever hesitate to go seek help of those around you. You can always learn the dangest things from the dumbest people, my dad used to say. And seek some help and just stay after it, man. There's no time clock on this, so stay after it. Find something you're passionate about and go after it with just all sorts of vigor.
Well said. We're talking to Coleman Proctor, professional team roper, 8-time NFR qualifier. Coleman, thank you for joining us. We're going to be right back with more Better Horses. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
2024 is the year to compete in the world's largest horse show, the Pinto World Championship. This 13-day event begins June 8th, starting with our youth weekend through June 22nd, and caters to all riding levels and ages. With over $1 million in cash and prizes, there are no qualifications required to enter. Held in Tulsa, Oklahoma, located at the Ford Complex, the Pinto World Championship caters to all types of equines. With over 700 classes, the Pinto Show welcomes a variety of breeds to compete. It's a family environment with healthy competition. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
Internal parasite control is critical to your horse's health, but isn't always easy. Some worms are as stubborn as they are dangerous. Luckily, there's Panacure Fenbendazole from Merck Animal Health. It works in a powerful and extremely safe way, so it's tough on parasites but gentle on horses, making it a safe choice for foals, weanlings, and even thin or debilitated horses. Consult your veterinarian for assistance in the diagnosis, treatment, and control of parasitism, and ask how Panacure can become part of your deworming strategy. Learn more at MerckAnimalHealthUSA.com.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
And welcome back to Better Horses. We appreciate you joining us. And I got to tell you, Merle, this is a really good show, but we're going to continue this on with really high professional talent.
Yes, we are. Our next guest needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway.
So before we bring them on board, we want to let you know that the following segment has been brought to you by the Pinto Horse Association of America. And what's coming up is the Pinto World Championship Show held in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Tulsa Fairgrounds. So put this on your calendar. It's going to begin Saturday, June 8th, and it's going to end on June 22nd. It's over 700 shows.
Classes, yeah, 700 classes.
Oh, thank you. I said shows, but I meant classes, and over $1 million in prizes. If you want to check out more information, it's www.pinto.org. And as we mentioned before, we have one of the best professionals, guys that are coming on board with us, and he is located in Scottsdale, Arizona. His ranch is called the Alamosa Ranch. And everybody, welcome Al Dunning, professional horse trainer. Al, thank you for joining Better Horses.
Thank you. It's good to be with you guys.
We were just talking about your regiment every morning. And I think to get to the highest level of training and being a professional horseman, can you let the audience know exactly what your day looks like every morning?
It's interesting. I have always tried to get up early, have a good breakfast, and then do some stretches and such before I come to the ranch. So I've also got what's called a beamer blanket, and I sit on that blanket and in the mornings while I'm having my breakfast, and that kind of gets me pumped up, So then I come to the ranch and the horses. I've got a great team that has the horses all saddled and all that. And then I usually ride, half a dozen or so horses, and I give lots of lessons and things like that. And then when it gets a little later on in the afternoon, I quit. And a lot of times I go to the gym at least 3 times a week.
Al, you're considered one of the most respected horsemen in the industry. You're an elite $1 million winner and an NCHA $1 million rider. Can you talk to us about the type of horses that you like to train, how the breeding program works, and then how you basically get yourself to be inducted into the AQHA Hall of Fame? How does that all happen?
I've been showing horses since I was 12 years old. So I'm 74 now. So I've been doing this a long time. I became a professional in 1970, I got married in 1971. I've got a wonderful wife, 52 years. So that's a big part of the program. Arizona, we don't raise many horses out here. So, horses come from other states. And I've been lucky to have horses from all over the world in training with me over the years. So, it's a real interesting thing. I didn't focus on it. I did all around horses in the beginning, meaning that we showed in every class, everything at every horse show, mainly the AQHA shows and the American Horse Show Association shows. But as I went along, I pretty much had done a lot and had several world champions that I decided to go in the cutting. So I learned from a guy named Don Dodge and started cutting, and was lucky enough to win over $1 million now and get into the Riders Hall of Fame. So it's just a process, and you got to work hard. You got to pay attention. I've had I've sustained several injuries over the years, all from horses. Both shoulders have been operated on, knees twice. I just have a new knee. I have a new hip, and I just keep battling away. What I do.
Well, that's great. And Al, you've had a lot of great horses over the years. Is there one, and I think I know what you might say, but is there one that jumps out to you? And then how did you find that horse?
It's interesting. Everybody knows that I'm connected with Expensive Hobby, with such a great horse. So a friend of mine, Mel Lawson, started him, and I saw him show him at Del Mar. He didn't win, but I looked at that horse and I thought, wow, that horse has got amazing possibilities. I had a customer named Buddy Stewart, and I told Buddy about that horse, and Buddy, when I and his daughter went over and looked at that horse, and we bought him back in 1973. And anyway, he won 4 world championships and got in the AQHA Hall of Fame. So that's just an amazing animal that could do whatever I asked him to do. And he was a world champion reining horse, world champion working cow horse, and also an AQHA superior cutting horse. So he kind of did it all.
Was he just a? Sorry, go ahead, Ed.
You're just joining us. I want everybody to know that you're talking to Al Dunning, a professional horse trainer. And Al, when you talk about your regiment and you're talking about special horses, you ride 6 horses every morning. What's your regiment? What's the first thing you focus on? I know it's going to be different for every horse, but what's the one thing you do consistently that these horses really can excel from?
I'm big on the basics. I'm big on the foundation of the horse, so I've got a few things I do to warm the horses up. I work on how good the walk is, how good the jog is, how good the lope is, how good the stop is, how good the turns are, how good the back is. I want that foundation on every horse, no matter what event I do. I want them to handle the neck rein well. I want them to be good in the mouth, flex at the pole, round their back. Those are things that I work on every single horse to develop the right kind of foundation.
Well, now you've recently started an accreditation program, on how you can further people's education on horse knowledge. And can you tell us about how a rider gets involved with that?
Yeah, wonderful. So, go to aldunning.com, and go to our the portion they call Team AD. Team AD there's 2 sections in it. One section is the part like you talked about, where you can ride with me anywhere in the world. Send me a video, and I do a voiceover lesson over the video and send it back. And the second part is my accreditation part. And my accreditation part, I've had several good accredited riders that have rode with me go through 54 skills. You pass or fail, I write you why and what you need to do different. And then at the end of the program, you have to come ride with me for at least a week or 2. So that's the program. And I've had riders from all over the world. And you guys, I don't want to fool people. So I used to have 60 horses in training. I used to ride over 20 horses a day. So, but as I've gotten older, I've tried to take care of my body a little better. So I don't ride as many as I used to, but I'm at it every day.
It's all about longevity. Let's talk about your training tack and what people can do to be a part of that. This is not something that you're just throwing your name on. This is actually something you're owning.
Yeah, absolutely. So, AD-TAC is something I've had for a while. I used to do clinics. People go, hey, where'd you get that bit? Where'd you get those reins? Gosh, that's a nice saddle. And, so I started a tack business called AD-TAC. And you can go to aldunning.com and find it. And, I sell all the tack, all the equipment, everything I use at home, working here, training the horses, and at shows. So I don't sell any junk. I sell high quality equipment. And then, what's really cool, guys, is that right now we have so many people that are sending us some really neat vintage tack. And so we also have some specials on some really, really neat tack from the, 50s, 60s, 70s, back in the day. And it's super high quality and great shape. It's just, so every once in a while we have some really fun things on like that.
I'm a sucker for old bits and old tack, man. And some of that stuff is kind of coming back around now. What once was cool is now cool again. And so I think that's great.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Now, you're also taking time out and you're building a new house. So tell us what's going on you on the personal side.
So, you know what? I sold the Almost Ranch to a great lady, and she's fixing up the ranch and covered the arena and done all kinds of cool stuff. But with that, she said, I'll buy the ranch, but you got to stay. So I'm here. I'm the manager of the Almost Ranch. She's going to continue the legacy. I kept 5 acres off the south side. I gave 2.5 acres to my daughter, Mackenzie, and her husband, Shad Parkinson. And Dad's here at the ranch with us now. They built their house. They're already in theirs, and our house is on the other 2.5 acres. And it's under construction right now. So we're pretty excited about that.
We've known you to own that since 1970. So it is fantastic to hear that that's going to continue on with your legacy.
Well, thanks. This is the third Almost Ranch I've been to. Okay. So first one was on almost downtown Scottsdale, and the second was on 108th Street in Shea, and this is out in Rio Verde on 160th and Rio Verde Drive. And I was the first horse trainer that moved out to this area, and now, guys, it is packed with horsemen and horse trainers and ranches.
That's great. So we're talking to Al Dunning. Al, if people wanted to get a hold of you, they want to get to your website, you want to tell them where to go?
Yeah, just go to aldunning.com. I'm real simple to get. And if anybody'd like to talk to me direct or whatever, joining Team AD is a big part of this because you can ask questions, you can, get your training right there. And anyway, I have a lot of things that I do, and they're all on aldunning.com.
That's Al Dunning, everyone. We want to thank you, Al, for everything you're doing in the horse industry. We appreciate you, and we'd like to have you back on the show. And but right now, we want to let everybody know we're talking to Al Dunning, and check him out at aldunning.com. Merle, we got to take a break. We're going to have more Better Horses coming your way right after these messages. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Better Horses. I'm Merle Arbo.
And I'm Ed Adams.
And we are here today visiting. Our next guest is from Trumbull, Nebraska.
Trumbull?
Trumbull, all the way from Trumbull, Nebraska.
I just like to say the name.
It is fun.
Rolls right off you.
This segment is brought to you by Heritage Tractor, so we want to be sure and plug our friends there. But Scott and Shelly Rystrom have been a start-to-finish full-service breeding, training, and showing facility in Trumbull, Nebraska. They're standing He Takes My Breath Away and a new stud this year, fully furnished, that they're going to tell us a little bit about. Please welcome Scott and Shelly Rystrom to the show.
Hi, guys. Hi, Merle. Hi, Ed.
Hi, guys. Nice to be here.
Shelly and Scott, we appreciate you joining the show. And as Merle said, you guys are finishing in full service breeding and training and showing facilities here. You've got a lot of horses on the ground. Talk to us about how your training is starting and some of the conditions that you have there at your facility and some of the challenges you're dealing with.
Right now, the last time I visited with you, we were just starting 2-year-olds, and we talked about that a little bit. They're coming along nicely. it's a pretty exciting time of the year. The 2-year-olds are riding around good enough. We just started hauling them to horse shows to get them, acclimated to that environment, and it's pretty exciting. Challenges, weather's been a little bit of a challenge here this spring, but we're not complaining about the rain, that's for sure.
Sure. And tell us, Scott, and I know you've been standing fully furnished now. I think you've bred a lot of outside mares. Tell us about breeding season. I know it's kind of Shelly's realm too, but how's the breeding season going? You about to get it wrapped up?
Yeah, that really is a question for Shelly, but as far as my end of the deal, it's been going very well. It's always a challenge to train a new stud, a young stud for the collections, and I would say the horse is really well. He's mounting well. He's collecting well. Shelly's getting a lot of mares bred to him, and my time in that is about 15 minutes a day. I go up there and help her collect, and I'm back home doing my thing. So it's going really well.
Yeah, I would say breeding season is going unexpectedly well, knock on wood, because we're kind of right at the hard finish where it's a lot of mares in a short amount of time, especially the northern mares that are just we're breeding for the first time now in May. So we want to get through those quick and on a single cycle, but everything's going so good. We had a really big hiccup. We've had one issue shipping all the semen that we've shipped this year. We've had one day where none of our shipments made it, and the excuse was actually a tornado hit the airport in Omaha. So I would say things are going well.
Yeah. So when that happens, what's the backup plan when that doesn't get through?
There's not a backup plan most of the time, because you're already at the end of the day. One customer was close enough where that we could have driven, but they had enough other things going on that they could have driven up and picked up a dose and that it's saved in the fridge, but they had too much stuff going on. And the other customers, we crossed our fingers that the mares might hold, but it was a Friday shipment for a Saturday delivery, and those mares they don't hold until Tuesday. That's not how we time these things. And what we did do was we just worked with those customers. Obviously it's not the carrier's fault. It's not our fault. It's not their fault. So we just worked closely with them, and they've short cycled their mares, and we're just getting ready. We shipped to one of those yesterday, and hopefully the next one that was missed that day this week as well. But that's breeding horses. It is.
It's been a really easy year that way. I mean, that was
our big hiccup so far.
Yeah, and great customers understood it, and we got through it. And so.
Makes sense. Talk about the economy side on the breeding program. Do you feel the demand is still there? Do you feel it growing? What's your thought process on it?
I do. I think the horse market is strong. I know if you talk to 100 people about this, you're going to get 100 different answers. But I think for all things of quality, there is a market. So when you have a good product, there is a market for it. And I think that both of the horses have a great following, especially the young horse. With his color, and not that anyone listening to this, color is not what we're breeding for, and it's not what anyone should solely focus on. You need a quality animal that you want to ride for the next 50 years, because you're going to see him pop up generations to come. And then if he happens to have color, then that's just the icing on the cake or the cherry on top. That's not the main focus. But a really fun part about it is that the fully furnished horse is a cremello, and so every single one of his foals will carry through, since he's a double cream or a double dilute, will carry through with that cream gene and be either Palomino, buckskin, or smoky black. And so that's kind of been a fun thing. And one of the things that we were able to do with him this year is put him in more futurities and more programs than any other dilute stallion, I think probably in the nation. So just because we have an amazing team behind this horse.
So we have a special foal that's coming out. He Takes My Breath Away. Talk to us about that and some of the examples that you have.
Of the He Takes My Breath Away foals, they make my life easy. That horse makes my life easy, and he gets mares in foal. They're beautiful. They're kind. They want to be touched. You know, the day they're born, they want to be touched, and they want to be scratched on. And putting a halter on them for the first time, it's not a big deal because they're not touchy about their noses. And it makes everything I do up in my barn fun. Like, if I miss a colt, like at the end of this, you guys know how it is. When you're almost through the end of all the hard work and you've got one last colt and you're not so keen on getting the last one haltered as soon as you ought to. And before you know it, they're way more than you do.
Yeah, they're supposed to be coming to my barn.
They're supposed to be headed to Scott's barn, and I don't have them halter broke, and it's not a big deal. They forgive me for my lackadaisical end of the season behavior.
It is. Yeah, it's easy on both ends of our deal with especially. I mean, we talked about this before. When they come down here, they've made my life. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. They're going to extend my career years. Because of their willingness to get along and the way they handle. They're just nice colts.
Well, that's great. And we can't talk about breeding season without talking about foaling season. We've foaled 4 out here. I know you'll foal a bunch more out. We had a couple surprises. How did it go for you guys?
So far, so good. We have 3 mares. I mean, I say that a little bit tongue in cheek. We did lose 1 foal. But so far, pretty good. The foals that we have on the ground that are here are spunky and healthy. I think that all starts with, you know as well as I do, that starts with taking care of those mares from the beginning. You know, good nutrition, vaccinating them timely prior to foaling, making sure you've got the best colostrum that you can get into that colt, and being, I'm not going to lie, we miss foalings. Everybody's going to miss one. Those mares sneak them out as best they can. And, but when you set those mares up to be healthy from the start, then you're more likely to get healthy colts. And that helps a lot.
Yeah. You know, and that's the heartbreaking part about it. Everybody likes the little foals. And last year we didn't have as good. We lost a couple that should have been there. And that's the heartbreak of it, you know, is you every year you do this expecting, man, this ought to be a great cross, and you're anticipating this baby, and you know, and then it doesn't always go as planned. I mean, and that's hard. I know there's some listeners out there probably going through a similar situation. How do you handle that, you know, because the more you have, the more it can go wrong. How do you guys deal with the bad stuff that happens too?
I think that you have to be aware that, and Scott has a great saying, and he says, you know, like if someone comes to him and they're like, well, my horse won't stop doing XYZ. They won't stop rearing when I halter him. They won't stop doing this. They won't. And Scott always asks them, well, did they do that when they were standing out in the pasture? The common denominator is usually us. We're the problem. And so anytime that we, even in the breeding and the foaling, you know, breeding and foaling is ugly out in the wild too, and it is nature, and it does occur out there. But we are the common denominator, and it's our responsibility to do our best diligence. But I think you can get carried away trying to find out the reason something went wrong, and sometimes nature just doesn't work. So you do have to forgive yourself. When we lost the colt this year, we did do everything we could. We spent way too much money trying to save him in 72 hours.
Yeah.
But we can sleep well. And the one thing I wish, and the one thing that I try to do, is learn from every single horse. And unfortunately, that was one that we didn't learn. We didn't learn how we could have done better, because there was nothing that could have been done better. He just wasn't going to make it.
I love what you said. That's
exactly
a very good point. If you just joined us, we're talking to Scott and Shelly Rystrom's quarter horses located in Trumbull, Nebraska. They are a full finished service breeding program and training program and showing facility all at the same time. So Shelly, tell us about your facility. It's large. You welcome people out there, and you have a pretty nice operation out there.
Thanks, Ed. It's a lot of work. Scott built this from the ground up. Everything here has been built one day at a time, and just by two people that love horses and try to make it a little bit better every year. We've got a few big projects. Right now, there's actually a big dirt hauler out in our pasture, in our arena, because I have a really good joke. Can I tell it to you?
I think
Yes.
Brianna gave us the thumbs up. You can tell the joke, everybody. Listening audience, here we go.
Did you know that horse trainers have to be cremated? They can never be buried.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that?
It's because the ground is never good enough.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, Scott has a dirt hauler, and one of his buddies from high school is out there working on his arena right now because it's never quite good enough.
You know, it's
perfect right now.
it's never good enough, and we could also say we can never get enough help too. So
That's exactly right.
That's exactly right. Hey, I want to thank Scott and Shelly Rystrom for joining us here at Better Horses. But first of all, thank you guys for doing everything you're doing and all the teaching and the training and the breeding that you're doing. I know on behalf of Merle and I, we appreciate you coming on board and love to have you come back.
Thanks, Ed, for having us again today. We appreciate it.
Yep.
We enjoy it.
Thanks for having us.
Check out their Facebook at Scott Rystrom's Quarter Horses. Rystrom's Rystrom. And Merle, that has been a great show. So I'm going to tell them, appreciate everything they're doing. We're going to be right back right after these messages. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hi, I'm Tommy with Heritage Tractor. Whether you're looking to maintain your yard or your whole ranching operation, Heritage Tractor has John Deere mower and tractor packages that make work fly by. With a variety of horsepower and attachment configurations, we have a package to best fit your needs and budget. To learn more about these exclusive packages, visit us in store or online at heritagetractor.com.
Legendary products, extraordinary service, that's our heritage.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered Pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com. Runny nose, cough, fever. It's flu season for humans and horses. Like human flu vaccines, equine flu vaccines must be updated to protect against the flu strains circulating now. Merck Animal Health's flu-containing vaccines include the most current flu strains, protecting your horse from illness and time-missed training because of it. Talk with your veterinarian about Prestige flu vaccines and learn more about the science of advanced protection at prestigevaccines.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes a barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
2024 is the year to compete in the world's largest horse show, the Pinto World Championship. This 13-day event begins June 8th, starting with our youth weekend through June 22nd, and caters to all riding levels and ages. With over $1 million in cash and prizes, there are no qualifications required to enter. Held in Tulsa, Oklahoma, located at the Ford Complex, the Pinto World Championship caters to all types of equines. With over 700 classes, the Pinto Show welcomes a variety of breeds to compete. It's a family environment with healthy competition. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
And we're going to continue on with our Better Cattle segment. I am very pleased and very excited to see Mike Oppold come on board and give us an update.
Thanks, Ed. Another great program here lined up. I'm glad to be part of it. Well, you know, our Better Cattle feature might need to be renamed Better Cattle Market this week as we move through the second half of May. Belated Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all the mothers out there, grandmothers and godmothers in our lives. Mother's Day, might be considered the unofficial start to the grilling season. And to add to that, graduation season is here. We have a couple of grandchildren that we are celebrating high school graduations, and so we're in that season here. And again, it might be the push the cattle market and the beef market needs right now, firing up those grills. We had hopefully a good Mother's Day weekend and a lot of graduation open houses coming up here as well. Again, the cash market and cattle futures still miles apart, showing no sign of wanting to converge. Cattle feeders still have a great deal of high-priced feeder cattle to work through. Now, it was easy to forget that last year, here, mid-May, we were posting all-time highs for the year. Now, here we are, a year later, and we are shorter on numbers than we were then, and yet trading at lower prices. And all indications are, from people that I talk to in markets and reading the comments, that we'll be even shorter on numbers a year from now. Looking at the futures market, feeder cattle, August feeders dipped below that 252 level late last week. Consecutive closes below that leaves that 240 level as the next stop down. And now 254, 255, 256 on those August feeders looks to be pretty stiff resistance. Now, a lot of cattle feeders purchased those higher-priced feeders at the time, looking at lower feed costs. December corn futures almost a straight line lower from around Christmas time, above $5, $5.10, $5.12, to lows again straight down late February down to that $4.50 level, below $4.50. Well, feeding $4.50 corn penciled out a lot better than $5 corn, but as we know, December didn't stay near $4.50 very long, and now we're back up to where we can at least see $5 here once again. May not get there, but may not get back to that $4.50 level either. Now, so I guess our bottom line here as we close things out, Ed, fire up those grills and keep them fired up here, not only through May, but through the summer. May is beef month. Let's end it at the Better Cattle Market. I'm Mark Oppold, wishing you a profitable day.
Very important segment, Better Cattle. It's going to continue every week, and we enjoy Mark's approach and all the information he's given us. Merle, that wraps it up. What a great show. What
it
great
is.
Talent,
And if you missed any of this episode or you want to hear further episodes, you can be sure to get your, you can find Better Horses where you find your podcast at.
And you can search it anywhere. Just type in Better Horses and it pops right up. And that's really great. And we also want to appreciate RFD and the Cowboy Channel, along with Equus TV, airing our 30-minute TV show from nationwide around the country, along with our local television stations here in the Midwest, is much appreciated. And you know what, Merle? Here's the exciting part. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
We have our spring newspaper that is out. and you're going to have that loaded up on our website. And more importantly, you're going to have it available to you at a subscription level if you want to check out betterhorses.com and get a subscription to it.
Sign up and we'll be in your mailbox.
So that's the way it's going to go. So as always, we'd like to thank our team, but more importantly, our radio producer, Brianna Johnson, and our TV producer, Kelly Creech, for putting all of this together, and naturally, all of our sponsors. So remember, all of you good buckaroos and buckarettes, mind your mom and dads out there. Be brave, but don't take any chances. And until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.